Welcome back to our ongoing series of conversations with the presenters at the upcoming Music for People SummerFest, SummerBreeze MusicFest, taking place on June 12th online. My name is Sharon Little. I'm a grad of the Musicianship and Leadership program, so glad to have you here. And my guest tonight, we've got a twosome. We got two for one tonight. I was going to say Celine Dion. We're just thinking, I'm sorry.
Excellent.
Okay, Celine Daly has just graduated from the Musicianship and Leadership program. She is a world traveler, multi-instrumentalist, and we'll be getting just a taste of what she does tonight. And Julie Harris is a grad. She and her husband, you can see she's in her music room. They have a bucket load of instruments that she started on North American Native American flute first, and I think Music for People kind of did her in, and she's just gone from there. I think it's true with all of us. We start on one or two instruments, and then things explode, just so you all know that that's going to happen. And their session is really a very unique session. It happens at the end of the day. We're going to have a very little bit of demo tonight. And it is a sound bath. It's a really beautiful way to end a day. Many of you may have tried one before live. It'll be on Zoom as we all are right now. But before we get to that, I'd like to, Julie, Julie and I see each other Friday night. So we have a lounge. So it's, so we kind of stay in touch. Listen, would you tell me just briefly, how you got to MFP and why it's grabbed you and what's grabbed you about it and
Well, I started MFP. At first, I went to a flute festival where Clint Goss was, and I heard of the MFP techniques, and it really piqued my interest. Then Glenn Velez was doing a workshop or concert with David Darling and a bunch of MFP grads in Connecticut. So I said, all right, let me go there. And when I got there was David, I think there was Mary, and a bunch of people on stage. They started classically, and then all of a sudden they went wild. They start foot stomping and doing these crazy sounds, and it just hooked me because these people are wild. I love this. And then I decided to just give it a shot, and I went to one of the MFP workshops, and I joined, and
there she wrote.
Right. And it was such a growing experience because when I started at MFP, I was shy. I only played a little Native American flute and drums, and I was terrified. But the growth that I developed over the past 6 years or 7 years is amazing.
I just had that same conversation with Irene earlier today in our conversation about the MLP really being a personal growth and transformational time period. It really brings everything forward within a musical context. Yeah. And Celine, how about you? So Celine and Julie play together. They have a group together with a couple of other of our grads and MFP members. So their history goes back kind of on the side of MFP. And I think, if I remember correctly, Julie dragged Celine to a workshop, or am I being a little too... was it dragging it in?
No. I used to play music when I was a kid. I played drums in the high school band. I played bass guitar in the high school jazz band. I did piano lessons. And it all fell away as time went on, and I went to college. And then just right around the time we started all this, it's 7 or 8 years ago now, Julie. Time flies.
2014 in August.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, 7 years.
I wanted to get back into music, and I got in through Native American flute because it was a way that you didn't have to think about notes and doing it right, because that was what really sidetracked me in music. I was never all that good technically, and you had to get it right. And so I started doing flute, and I saw that Julie had a flute circle. So I called her up and said, hey, are you doing a flute circle? And then she dragged me to Clint Goss's workshop, which is essentially MFP for flute.
Yes.
Right.
And then I went to an MFP, and then I discovered, like you said, you'd play a little of this, a little of that, a little of the drums, and a lot of vocals. I've been doing a lot more vocals lately. And, it just sort of opens you up musically to have that accepting, everything goes, try anything you want
and it's all beautiful experience.
And what I also love, I'll add on to that, is you try everything you want and you learn how to refine and listen and more deeply
Yes.
listen and
Yes.
and discriminate sometimes when you're playing and leave space and so on. It's really an extraordinary thing. And we've been doing this for 30 years. MFP is masters at this kind of improv training and humanistic. It's kind of come around into everyday life in some ways, in certain ways now. But 30 years ago, I started in the early 90s. It was not, and that was a new thing. So that's great. So you guys are doing a sound bath. How did you come across sound baths? I've been in several. I've done them. I've performed them or created them. What is a sound bath, and why are you doing it for the MFP program? Go, Julie.
She was hoping she didn't have to say
I
it.
know. I know.
Well, sound bath is just using sound as a tool for bringing you into a meditative state. And some people can't just sit and meditate without something to concentrate on. And sound immediately puts you in this nice state where you can go in and get some sort of relief and healing. How I got into sound baths, Celine started first. So once she started, I go, "What are you doing?" And then all of a sudden, I said, "Oh, this sounds really cool, so I'm going to get involved in that too." And I found that we started using a lot of the MFP techniques in our sound baths because it was deep listening. I also have a background in Reiki and some other spiritual therapeutic acupressure and the power of intention. So sound baths was a perfect place to use what I've always known, and at the same time use some of the MFP techniques. And a lot of it was intuitive. We did take some workshops, but most of it was experiential. And doing a sound bath is healing for me, and it's enjoyable, and it's just a beautiful way to put some beautiful energy out in the world.
Celine, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah. And sound baths come in all different flavors. The first sound bath I ever went to was in Bangkok, Thailand, and the guy had must be 50 different crystal bowls, and it was nothing but crystal bowls for the entire hour. It was the most amazing thing I ever experienced. You could just feel them vibrating all the way through you. And then I've been to other sound baths that are really more, I would call them horizontal concerts. A little of that, a little of this, people improvising together, a little rhythm, and we're somewhere in between where we're really looking at a meditative space, a deep immersion. That's why it's called a bath. It's an immersion in sound. And we're really working with the physical properties of the sound, that vibrative, sound is a physical thing, it vibrates. And it has effect on our tissues, on our nervous system, on our brain waves. And it's all, I call it a micro massage. It just shakes up all the places that the energy is stuck and allows us to go back into a more balanced state. And people tell us they have the most amazing experiences during sound baths. Journeying like a shamanic journey, and their knee pain went away. The people say all sorts of things after their sound baths, and it's very individual. But we love doing it. It just, like Julie said, it's healing for me to do a sound bath.
Yeah.
And when we do it together, it's interesting. People think we had it all planned, and it's just so intuitive between the two of us that it's amazing.
And it's all improv.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. These notes are not written down anywhere.
No.
Okay, now I'm going to walk over to this crystal bowl, and now I'm going to over to this. And so it'll be at the end of the day, and it's becoming a little bit more part of the routine of our online programs, a little bit more and more. I think partly because we're online so much, and sometimes we just need to defrazz a little differently than we would if we were live. And so at the end of the day, you'll be doing this to just close the day out, to let everything go, to help people release, to help people sit quietly for a little while and not have to, rush off into the next thing. And before I'd like to end our session with the sound bath. But if there's anything else you want to say about what you're doing, about your experience with MFP, so that we end in sound.
I think one other thing, though, I just want to add about how we do it. We bring an elemental sensitivity to it. So we usually start our sound baths with things that are very grounding. It might be drums, it might be shakers, and then we move to the metal bowls and the gong, and then we end with the crystal, which is very space ethereal. So we do, even though it may sound like we're randomly picking different instruments, there's actually a thread of raising the energy through it too.
And the various instruments do actually. My background is in 5-element medicine and sound and so on. So these will actually, move through. You can. It is a physical. So as you're listening, so are you going to do like a little mini thing that'll take you through? We can't do some of the sounds right here so much, but we're going to go through a little mini demo. And so those who are watching, I'd invite you just to put everything down for a few minutes, whatever, if it's morning, just take a break and have a listen. Close your eyes, get the earphones on, take some breaths, feel your body on the ground, on the chair, feel yourself being present. Relax and let go of whatever has been happening. It'll still be there. And in Music for People, we do this to release. And that's a really beautiful way that we start our improvs, but it's also a beautiful way to be very conscious and mindful of releasing and letting go. So I've got birds chirping, which is probably part of the sound. Can you hear the birds?
I can, and it's beautiful.
Okay,
yes.
So we'll leave the birds in for the sound bath. You probably will not be getting this on Saturday.
You never know.
Never know what will happen. And for the next few minutes, please enjoy a little mini sound bath, maybe a sound splash or a sound shower. Yes. This is.
Yeah, you thinking 3 or 4 minutes?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Let's start at a beginning, a middle, and end, and find a natural ending.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
Our workshop is SummerBreeze MusicFest. You go to musicforpeople.org, click on the workshops tab and to online events, and scroll down a bit and you'll find us there. Julie and Celine, thank you so much for gathering things. I know, Celine, you're in an odd place and you've kind of had to gather and collect things, and especially for your time and your attention. I'm speaking quietly so we all kind of stay relaxed. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we'll
you
see
for
you
having
Saturday.
us. Yeah, see you Saturday.